Hello, welcome to Animation Insights, where I talk about a video I made and why I made it and what it took for me to make it. Today I'm going to talk about birthday, the video I made for my birthday, March 12th. So you know, for next year, that's my birthday. Make me something, that'll be cool. I mean, you don't have to, but my birthday is March 12th. Basically because I thought it would be a cool thing to have like a music video for a song called Birthday released on my birthday. I was just like, hey, that sounds like that'll be thematic. I also wanted to do another Lemon Demon music video because Lemon Demon is music that I really like. There's a lot of songs that I really like that are by Lemon Demon, by Neil Cicierega, aka Lemon Demon. I've got at least three other music videos that I've at least partially worked on of Lemon Demon songs, and the only two that made it out alive are Musical Chairs and Birthday. So the question is, why did I choose this song over 300 other songs that I could have chosen that are by this guy? Yes, I counted. Alright, here's the deal. It's because I like this one. I mean, obviously it's not just it's one that I like, but also that is a very big reason as to why I chose this song. It's a good song. I've listened to a lot of songs over and over again. This is one of the ones I've listened to over and over again, and it's still good. And those kinds of songs are good. Especially songs that get better the more you listen to it, and you're like, oh man, I really like when it goes to that part. The Birthday is one of those songs for me. I'm gonna start by talking about the squares and the rectangle at the very start. I wanted that to be the very first thing that happens, because first it sort of sets the tone of the art style I'm going for, which is solid colors and purely saturated, but also a lot of black and a lot of light, mostly black because the background is black. Now you might say, and I'm willing to bet that this is something that crossed your mind, that, oh wow, the backgrounds are black. You just didn't want to draw backgrounds. That's partially true. However, there is a deeper meaning behind it, and I hope you don't mind if I get pretentious for a bit. But backgrounds are black because, alright, are you ready for some brain information? Here's how my brain works. As of this moment, there are only two songs I've ever dreamed about. Vividly dreamed about. When you're having a dream, sounds don't happen. It's something you don't. Neither do colors. Colors and sound don't happen, but you don't notice because things aren't just gray. Things do have color, but when your brain is there during a dream, you're not seeing color. And similarly, you're not listening to sound. However, your brain can still make up sound, and if you're paying attention, especially if you're waking up, when you'd normally forget about a dream, if you're paying attention, then you'll realize, oh, I actually heard a song there. I've only ever had two songs in recent memory, at least. Ones that I've heard in my dreams. One is Deep in the Ocean by Lemon Demon, and the other one is Birthday. The dealio with Birthday is that I vividly remember when I remember listening to that song. There was a dark cabin. I was outside. It was midnight, and I was outside of a dark cabin. I think I remember humming this song to myself, I do not know what to get you, like that, and then somebody else hummed along, and I'm like, oh, do they know the song too? And then there was also this monster running around or something. It was weird, but yeah. Anyway, that stood out in my head, and every time after that dream, I listen to this song, and I think of sort of a dream state sort of thing. I think of what it was like to have that dream. One thing I heavily associate with dreams is black. You see, we're going back full circle, but let me finish my thought first. I'm somebody who's done lucid dreaming a bit, which is essentially you take control of your dreams, you realize you're dreaming, and you do whatever you want with them. And with that, one thing I noticed is that although I have control of dreams, I very often lose control when my my vision gets enveloped by blackness. And that's because my brain is transitioning from the dream state into my awake state, where in my room it is pitch black. And so therefore I go from whatever the dream looks like into the blackness of my room. Likewise, whether intentional or not, I associate dreaming with black. I was about to say the color black. Black is technically not a color, it's a shade. Semantics. Anyway, so birthday is mostly black because I associate it with dreams, and I associate black with dreams, and I associate the song with dreams, and so part of my intention with making this video was creating a visual experience to sort of to like show off how I feel when listening to the song visually. Does that make sense? Right. That's the majority of my pretentious rant over. It just so happens that the fact that everything is black also makes it easier to make the video. Yes. Anyways, going back to the white squares bit at the very start, like, I also used that opportunity to do the opening credit thing, a Lemon Demon music video animated by Viva Reverie. I wanted it to be themed with the rest of the video and not be, like, intrusive. I thought that was pretty important. Oh my god, the video is actually starting now. So the alligators, right? They look really goofy. One thing that happens with me and music that I want to turn into music videos is that I visualize them beforehand, and like how everything moves and where everything goes, and likewise, I do the lyrics pretty literally here, where the first verse talks about alligators, and I show off an alligator. He's doing this goofy walk, and he's got these googly eyes. Fun factoid, this alligator pose is based off the alligator from Mother 1 for the Famicom, aka Nintendo Entertainment System, except not the Nintendo Entertainment System, because it never came out on that console. That's why I said Famicom, which is the Japanese equivalent. Anyway, so they're friendly. I make him wink because I thought it was funny, and then for like one frame visibly at the bottom right of that, you can see a winky frame, a winky smiley face. So here's an interesting thing. When the alligator goes from like top left to bottom right, I always pictured like a dude on top of it, you know, because they're letting you surf all afternoon. Somebody's surfing the alligators. I didn't end up drawing a dude on top of this guy because that would have just been really jarring, and like I didn't want to like invent a person to put on top of the alligators, and also I'm not even that good of an artist in the first place, so I don't think I could have made it look good. Maybe I could have, but at the same time, for this verse in particular, I wanted it to be focused specifically on the alligators and what they do and their goofiness and their stupid googly eyes, and that would have distracted in my opinion. Shoutouts to my sister, by the way. She helped me with some of the art bits in this, and she sort of like, she drew the wavy lines for the water wibbling, which I also used to cover up the alligators in the back, because I'm like, oh god, I need to clear up the screen and it's full of alligators. I use the water for that in preparation for this shot where it's talking about pocket cash. I'll just rewind a bit. The alligators give you cookies and balloons. Okay, well, how do I visualize that? I initially thought, okay, so one alligator will give cookies, another alligator will give balloons, and they'll just give it to, I don't know, another guy. Similar to the reason why I didn't draw the dude on the alligator, I also said, you know what, I'm just gonna leave out all human characters, at least in this verse. They show up in the second verse, as you will see soon. But in this verse, I wanted to figure out a way for alligators to offer cookies and balloons, and also have it happen really quickly, and also have the screen be empty very shortly afterwards for the pocket cash scene, because I found the pocket cash scene rather important. Okay, why am I hyping up the pocket cash so much? Because, okay, when I said I visualized the song but before I animated it, this was one of the first things that was cemented in my mind from day one. I'm like, I want it to look exactly like this, because it's so, like, the ding 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 ding, that bit, I really like how I just connected in my head with with these falling coins. Look at these coins. Completely irrelevant, but I found a pair of cufflinks as I was making this video. Like the day before I released this video, I bought a pair of cufflinks that look identical to these coins. And I bought them because they looked identical to these coins, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So that's neat. But yeah, the bell sound, I just, with the changing colors of the coins, I just like, that was such a vivid thing in my head. I'm just like, it brings out emotions. I'm sorry, I'm going pretentious again, but when I hear this part of the song, it's just, oh man, it's so enchantingly mysterious. And I wanted to somehow like visualize how I feel when I listen to that bit of that song, and I'm just like, I used color changing of coins to do it. Also notable, I wanted the coins to fully change color when they went ding 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 ding, which means that you don't see the shading of it after they get the colors, which means that, oh no, that really cool, almost 3D, but not actually 3D animation, you can't actually see. I was pretty proud of that, actually. That was pretty. Rewind a bit, I'm gonna talk about the lyrics that go across the screen. So this is something I'd never done to a song before now, but I found it really important for this one, especially because of that's kind of the point of the chorus, is that it's just words across the screen. So for consistency's sake, I did it with the verses too, where the words are like everywhere. Every single word that is spoken shows up in this video as they get spoken. So it's kind of like a typography video. That's what they're called, right? They're not called music videos, they're called typographies. Yeah, I had a bit of trouble with that during the alligator bit because I couldn't figure out where words could go and at what times and still have the focus be on everything else. Like, I wanted the "and some pocket cash to spend" bit to disappear by the first bell ding, and it took me a bit of tweaking to figure out how I could get that to look good. Because Neil says spend right as the first bell goes off, so I needed to like get rid of that immediately, so I just had the whole line show up early, which coincides with the second verse, but we'll get to that. Also have everything flash a few rainbow colors before disappearing. Like most things do that. That was like part of the aesthetic I was going, where like going back to the sort of dream thing where everything is black, but sometimes, if you're really lucky, everything is crazy, super vivid, colorful. That was part of the reason why I chose this sort of color scheme. Also, if you pause here, these 4 coins, their colors, that's the Super Famicom logo. That was intentional. That was a little reference thing. Nobody noticed that though. Oh my god, it's the chorus. Alright, now we finally get to the chorus. So this is just like words going across the screen and they flash rainbow colors. You might say, okay, and that's very fair enough. But the way I have it sort of set out, it was very intentional. The very first time you see the chorus, it's very basic. It's literally just these words, which have no rotation whatsoever, and they change size and they show up with the "I do not know what to get you for your birthday." 2 things of note here. First is "not" and "get" are both capitalized, and that's because like the chorus is sung different every single time, at least slightly. But one consistency is that "not" and "get" are both like sort of emphasized when I mean it's kind of because there's like a break after each of them, especially "forget," where the previous 2 words were what to get you, and it's like, so what and to are both words that show up for half the time that get does. Not is the same amount of time as the 2 words in front and behind it, but that one is still sort of, it's also not, as in the word that you use to deny something, and therefore it has emphasis sentence-wise. Does that make sense? Alright, I'll move on to the second thing. The second thing is birthday, and when birthday shows up, birthday cake shows up. There are 3 notable things about this birthday cake, the birthday cake. First off is, it is designed after, my childhood favorite cake, which is just an ice cream cake, because when I was very young, I couldn't eat egg. I was allergic to egg. I'm no longer allergic to egg anymore, so I can eat regular birthday cake. But for very many years of my life, the birthday cake that I lived with was just ice cream cake. So on top is vanilla ice cream, in the middle is strawberry ice cream, and on the bottom is chocolate ice cream. On top, they're called Hundreds and Thousands. That might be a brand name, I don't know. It's little sprinkles, and they're multicolored. And they're also the exact same colors that everything in the animation flashes, so that's thematic as well. And finally, the fire on top. If you have a very good eye and a very rememberly brain, if you watched my really old video, We're Going for a Ride, which is also currently the most popular video on my channel. It is the exact same fire animation, except I made it look neater and smoother, and I removed the gradient. And made it bob to the beat just like it did in that video. Actually, I should very quickly get on that. One thing I do with music videos recently, I've done it with this, and I think I did it with musical chairs. I definitely did it with this at very least, and I'm doing it with a bunch of music videos that are in production that I haven't made yet, so that I don't have to manually seek out what keyframes each musical beat shows up on. I got a computer to do it for me. My Bachelor of Software Engineering is not going to waste. I'm gonna find a reason to use it somewhere. Alright, so here's the deal. First thing I do is get the amount of beats per minute of the song. I use FL Studio's tap beat thingy, which essentially you tap to whatever beat. So I listen to a song and I just tap to it, input that into FL Studio, which is a music program, by the way. And then, because there's a good chance that wasn't right, or like, I mean, it's pretty accurate usually, but sometimes it's like a slight bit of a beat off or something. I'd need to like adjust that or something. What I do is I listen to the song and have the metronome in FL Studio play at the exact same time. So, therefore, I find that this song is exactly this beats per minute because FL Studio syncs with it the entire way through the song. Next, I use a math thing to sort of like calculate where, based on the frames per second of the video, which is 24 frames per second, and the beats per minute of the song, which I don't have on hand right now, but it is a number. And I put it in the calculator thing that I made myself, which like then spits out all the beats in where each of these keyframes would show up. And then finally, in my Flash, in my animation program of choice, which is Flash, for this video in particular, I get auto hotkey, which is like it's a programmable macro thing to spit out a bunch of commands into Flash, which is move forward this many frames and then hit new keyframe, and then move forward this many frames and then hit keyframe. And it just does that throughout the entire song so that I don't have to do it myself, because that's what I did for many videos for a long time, including, but not limited to, Princess Celestia being deep. In fact, I actually re-uploaded that video and lost like 300,000 views total view count or whatever. That might not be right. It's a big number, because I didn't like how the original video was synced. No, I didn't use this process. If I were to like remake the video from ground up, then I would. But likewise, one thing that I find important with a music video is it needs to go exactly to the beat. And because I don't want to ever be wrong again, I just get a computer to do it for me now. Anyways, that's why everything happens so precisely in this music video. It's because that's what I did to get everything in sync. Here's something weird that I did that I probably shouldn't have done in hindsight, but I started with it, so I stuck with it. Instead of the text being rainbow, what's going on here is the background is actually what's behind the text is actually the rainbow flashing mess, and what's in front of it is essentially a cardboard cutout of the text that I do not know what to get you for your birthday. And through the text, you see the rainbow background. On the one hand, that's terribly inefficient. On the other hand, that means it's consistent when it goes from one word to the next with the color cycle in the background, which kinda sorta syncs with the song, but I didn't intentionally make it do so. That kinda made it a bit unwieldy in the animation process, so that was kind of annoying, but yeah, I dealt with it. Here's the I do not know text, the shaking text. This is the first time we see shaky text in this animation. We're only 40 seconds in. I know, riveting. So the very first chorus of this song is very calm and collected, but by the end it gets kind of crazy nuts, and I wanted it to be like a steady incline from the start to that point, and this is sort of like the first point where that happens, the shaky text with the I do not know. Also fonts. I'll talk about fonts for a second. Obviously, with the focus of this music video being the text that shows up on screen, choosing good fonts was very important. I wanted the I do not know to be like sort of, I didn't want it to be perfectly easy to read, because when listening to the song, it's almost like a backup singer is singing that bit, and so therefore have the text sort of give that same feeling by not quite being in the foreground, and my way of representing that was to give it a font that's kinda hard to read. Yeah, does that make sense? On the other side of the spectrum, the I do not know what to get you for your birthday text is all really generic font. It's called Mit. It's just a font that's sitting on my computer. When I was going through font, I'll get back to that. I won't take too long to get back to. One more thing to note regarding the steady escalation from calm to nuts is the I do not know what to get you for your birthday. Is the text is kind of reserved. It's like getting bigger and getting smaller, and it's moving about, but it's like not everywhere across the screen compared to how I do, at least in the second chorus. And then we got the accordion blurs signifying with the birthday text and the birthday cake like skewing crazily. First of all, that's part of the it getting crazier as the music video goes along thing. But that's also the like that was what I visualized when I heard it. And I also wanted the birthday cake to kind of be important, and like everything goes nuts, but the birthday cake kind of stays sane throughout the whole thing, except for when it doesn't. Does that make sense? Oh god, the Pretzel makers. You'll notice the font here is different again. I didn't mention the font during the Alligators bit, but yeah, that's a font that it is exclusively used during that verse, and then I also have a font that's exclusively used during this verse as well. The Pretzel maker was kind of an ass to make because I wanted it to be like synced to the song, but the beats of the song are not at perfect frame intervals, which means that I had to have every single beat resynced with every single individual thing that's going on. Each pretzel and each pretzel maker is slightly different based on like when everything happens in the song, and it's just slightly off, and it took a while, but I think I got it to look pretty cool. Oh right, they don't make pretzels at the fair. I'm pretty sure that those are like exclusively made in like a factory or whatever. I based my pretzel maker off, there's like a video about like, oh, this is how pretzels are made. And I'm like, I'm gonna analyze this video and figure out like, okay, why does everything in the video happen? Well, here's the dealio. First, the dough comes in and it gets rolled up, and so that's why it starts fat at the top and then gets thin before going into the bit where the little robot arms twisted into a knot like that. Technically, my animation is wrong because the arms go through each other, but I wanted to visually represent it really simply without getting complex. The original Pretzel Maker machine uses like a curly thing where like one arm goes around the other based on this mechanism. I chose the background of the Pretzel Maker to be solid black because I wanted the zoomed in shot to start on black and then move to a pretzel, which means that I couldn't have the inside of the pretzel machine be anything but black, which is a shame because it looks a little weird. It's kind of like the intention was that it's kind of like a cross section of a pretzel maker. It kind of works. Also, this is all drawn by my sister, the pretzel machine thing. The pretzels were all me. And the pretzel arms were all me, but the machine besides that was my sister. Then we go to our senior citizens. Those are also drawn by my sister. Good character designs. I really like how they look. They're senior and they're citizens. And one of the pretzels bops them in the head. I thought that would be funny. I also use this Times New Roman ass font. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but it's got serifs, so it's kind of like Times New Roman for the senior citizens, because they're old people and Times New Roman is old, and yeah, just sort of associate them together. Is that old peopleist? I hope not. When firing off ideas for this music video to other people who know about the song, one of them said, when I hear this part of the song, I visualize like a dunk tank, like senior citizens in a dunk tank, and you use pretzels to get them dunked or whatever. And that was, in particular, that was what Mr. Grey was supposed to be. That was not what I visualized at all when listening to the song, and analyzing the lyrics, that's not at all what I got out of it, but maybe that was the intention? I don't think so, though. I had the 7 tickets come across. Oh, first of all, yeah, that's actually the Alligator font again, but I wanted it to be thick and like fit with the ticket aesthetic. There's perfectly 7 of them that show up, and like they show up when the 7 tickets are at the very start of when they show up, and they also disappear off right when the next thing shows up. That was an intentional thing. I wanted it to do that. Also, I have the tickets cover up everything on the left so that we could transition to Mr. Grey. That was actually harder than it looks, because like things go up and over the tickets, and like I had to like erase. There's like a pretzel that almost makes it over a ticket, but then I cheat and say nope, it never went over that ticket, so that I could get the whole screen black and not complicate things. Alright, here's the deal with the Mr. Grey bit. It's like a lot of things are going on at once. You've got Mr. Grey, he's sort of like bobbing his head slightly. You got these waves of different color going from left to right or whatever, and then the words coming behind each layer of wave. And you got like a kind of semi-camera shift move thing that's kind of fake, but you know, it's 2D, so just I can get away with it. And there's kind of a bit of detail on the surroundings, like there's some gravel bits, and like Mr. Grey kind of has a bit of detail. He's got the head shine thing. Actually, that was drawn by my sister too. I gave her direction on what I wanted it to look like. And then whabam, it like whiplashes into a black screen with white text and sits there for like 2 full seconds. Entirely intentional. This screen here was the first thing I did when working on this project. I used this. This is when I was going to bring up the font thing again, because when I was deciding a font, I used "This is where the fun begins" as the text. This is when I said I visualized things for the music video, this was one of the first things that was cemented in my head, just as the coins were. The pocket cash bit. I wanted intentional whiplash where it's like there's lots of things going on. You've got the crazy ass pretzel machine with super like lots of things going on at once. Things moving about. You got the 7 tickets swishing from left to right. You got Mr. Grey who's like with like everything's moving on screen. Then Shazimbo, Bazinga. This is where the fun begins. It's not all uppercase, it's not all lowercase, there's no punctuation, it's just this sentence. I want you to absorb this sentence. Actually, in the context of the song, it's kind of like messed up, but not really. 7 tickets for a shot at Mr. Grey. He's been sitting there all day. This is where the fun begins. The idea being that now we're gonna start throwing pretzels at Mr. Grey, and I just love this sort of like the juxtaposition between like here's a weird thing, and then here's what's going to happen because of the weird situation that has been brought up. I really like this song, and this is just like one particular bit that really resonated. Is resonated the right word? Resonated implies I related with it in any way, which I don't really, but I just really like how you hear it, how it goes, and I wanted to sort of visualize how I feel when listening to the song. I'm sorry I got pretentious again, but I really like the song. And then the text changes color on the whistles in the background. Instead of in the first verse, I chose to have like the coins like ding based on the bells. There are still bells in this at the end of this verse too, but like there's more of a focus on the whistling. So I have the text change based on the whistling. And then like the maraca shake, I kind of used the birthday cake with the weird skew off in the corner. Just do it. One thing I'm a huge fan of is things going in sync with the song, like perfectly in sync. That's why I had the computer do everything with the beats perfectly. And likewise, I wanted visual accompaniment with the maracas, and that's what the cake's there for. Oh god, the chorus is getting a little nuts now, innit? It's not only does it have the shaky text, the shaky effect, which just like, it's such a simple thing, but I really like it. It suddenly makes it feel completely different. Just based on it's just a kind of an animation loop that each text, I have like different animation loops, and I have them play based on when the keyframes start and end and that kind of thing. But it just suddenly it gives a different feeling. Now it's suddenly feeling like, oh geez, it's getting a little weird, isn't it? Yeah, it is, exactly. To coincide with that, we've got the I do not know showing up. It's a little bigger now. Ooh, what's going on? Did you see that? Did you see that? Oh, the text is slightly glitching. That one flashed to the other word a bit, and that one moved over there for a frame. That one tilted a bit, and the birthday text is tilting too. But the birthday text is sacred. It hasn't been tilting at all until now. What's up with that? Now suddenly, oh geez, that text is really big on the screen. That one's off screen. That one's backwards. What's up with that? I should actually bring up the seizure warning now. I intentionally didn't mention it until now. So I was wondering whether I should have a seizure warning on this video. I thought if the text is thin enough, it's probably fine, and I thought this is thin enough text, and that only shows up for like less than half a second. I wasn't quite set on doing. One thing that I was worried about is I didn't want a seizure warning because I didn't want to detract from the rest of the video, and I already had a start to it, and I couldn't have like a bit extra before that because that's not part of the song. Obviously that's not what happened, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Here's a thing. During this bit, the birthday text like drifts off to the side, like very slightly. It's kind of hard to notice first of all, you're distracted by that mess going, the I do not know around it, but there's also the fact that everything's shaking. There was another shot where the I do not know also drifts, but it's kind of hard to spot. But here, the birthday noticeably drifts, but you'd still not really notice unless you're paying attention. There's like a lot of little things going on. It's just like, oh god, everything's going a bit nuts, and I can't really grasp it. That's sort of like in sync with the dream aspect, with the idea that like in a lucid dream, you might have control, but sometimes everything goes wrong. Sometimes you just lose it, and it's like, oh no, I couldn't. Just like how when a nightmare happens, what can you do? You can't get out of it. I mean, maybe you can. Sometimes that happens with me where I'm like, oh no, I cannot leave this nightmare. But then sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'm dreaming. I'll just get up then. I don't like this. that doesn't happen every time, and especially like way in the past, I definitely remember a couple of nightmares that are like you can't wake up from. But that was part of the intention with me doing this, was to sort of give off that feeling that things are going wrong and they're kind of out of reach, and yet there's still a bit of an anchor. Throughout these, the cake does not move. The I do not text moves. The birthday text moves. The cake does not move, except for when it does. And that's when everything goes, like, completely nuts. At the very end of this verse, boo! Oh, actually, I'll mention that too. Just like everything else, I wanted the get text there to kind of, like, be right in your face and almost be kind of a jump scare, but not really. It wouldn't scare anybody, but the intention was that it was supposed to be partially jump scary. I know that's not what happened, but yeah, that was the intention. Oh, actually, the birthday cake doesn't move. The birthday text does, and the birthday cake does move in the first verse, but that's because it was moving on to a different verse and but here, I do a different thing where I have the I do not know text like grow really big, and the later ones show up like zoom in faster than the earlier ones. And the birthday text just like goes off screen. And then for the entire next scene, the no text is just there in the corner. And I intentionally made it almost look like a mistake. Like I accidentally left open a keyframe and I just never made the no text disappear. But because it kind of just, it appears on that frame, I guess it would be pretty hard to sort of like give that impression. But the idea is that it sits there for the entire next rest of the cool weird 3D scene, and it like kind of flashes bits and pieces, like just like how I had the cake shake with the maraca sound. I don't know if it's a maraca sound, but it's shaking. I have the no text like sort of like sync with the sort of distortions in the background, but not at first. Because I don't know, maybe I could have made it sync with the first few distortions, and this is sort of something I deliberated on. I chose to leave it to only sync to the last couple of distortions though, because I wanted it to look like it wasn't supposed to be there, and if it started flashing and moving about or whatever, like that early on, then you would have known, like immediately, oh well, that was intentional, even though it was supposed to almost look like a mistake. Even though, I mean, considering the rest of the video, it would be pretty hard to make that sort of mistake. But then again, I mean, sometimes I make mistakes. Anyway, so this scene is pretty cool. This is the first time we see the freak out text, which is behind the actual text. You've got like the shadow text behind it that's showing up in like a bunch of different fonts, like faded behind it. And this is just like a mess of noise, essentially. Like this is just like I know this is not I'd like to point out that this is only my interpretation of the song, and I know this at all is very likely not what Neil, aka Lemon Demon, originally intended for this song to represent. But like I sort of like I think the original intention for the Alligators and Pretzel Makers thing is not to be entirely random. The idea is that I do not know what to get for your birthday. Here's some miscellaneous ideas that don't relate with each other in any way, and then this part of the song is like just sort of like deliberating between alligators, pretzel makers, like not birthday presents in any way, but like if you can't figure out what to get someone for their birthday, that's probably because you're not in the right mindset. And if you're thinking about alligators and pretzel makers, you're not in the right mindset. Anyways, I kind of had this represent that, but at the same time, also with my sort of dream visualization, with the fact that everything's really getting nuts and everything's collapsing in on itself. And that's why it's coming back to pretzel makers and alligators and pretzel makers, and everything's shaking now. Now the alligators are shaking, and the pretzels, well, okay, so it's supposed to be alligators and pretzel makers, but because the pretzel maker machine I made was kind of a mess, and the pretzels themselves kind of look cool, I when pretzel makers show up, I have the pretzels show up, and they're also synced with the song. The alligators, they open, close their mouths, and the pretzels like change their dot pattern and shrink and grow, and that kind of thing. Oh yeah, one of the freak out text, shadow texts fonts is wingdings behind the alligators and pretzel makers. I'll get to why that's important shortly. You also got a couple of other things going on in this short bit where everything is weird and creepy in 3D. That alligator stretches and those ones at the edge, the pretzel and the alligator at the edge are like really, really big. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of feel overwhelming. That's also that's what I kind of feel when listening to the song as well, is that the distortion bits and everything it gets overwhelming, in my opinion. Like, especially compared to the start of the song where everything's really chill. Also, I have that pretzel go through the middle because it's cool 3D effects looking straight down as it, like, passes by. It seems pretty cool. Oh boy, it's the Megasphere. This is the last thing I worked on during the video. The process of creating the video was the Megasphere. That's what I chose to call this thing. I wanted this to be sort of a culmination of the verse before it and the last time we see the alligators and the pretzel makers. And the fact that, so this is when the whistling comes back and the distortion goes away. So I added order to the chaos, where the scene before is entirely chaos. This one gets rid of the shaking and brings in like cool pattern effects. I think it's really cool when everything's like sort of synced up and like in a steady pattern, that kind of thing. And yeah, I did kind of similar things in previous videos, like Princess Celestia being deep mostly, where there's just a lot of things going on, but because they're all doing the exact same thing at the same time, it's like really, really interesting to watch. Alright, I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant. So see the text coming out of the center, the ah. So that was something that I'd visualized a long time ago and I wanted it to look cool. So I used, it was a plugin for Sony Vegas that called like, New Blue Titular Pro 3 by OpenFX. So here's the deal, right? You can do cool 3D text transitions and animations and things, and like with like lighting and that kind of thing. And I'm like, all right, cool. I will use that for the R, because doing a 2D thing, it looked like garbage and it didn't give the effect that I wanted at all. I wanted to have text that comes towards the screen and looks like it's coming towards the screen. Here's the problem that I ran into, and it took me several hours to figure out why this was the case. But when the text goes too far behind the camera, it just freaks out and like, I don't know, underflows and like goes really far away. But it doesn't do that in the preview, so I thought something was just going wrong in the rendering or something, and like I just need to tweak settings. But no, I after a bunch of trial and error, I realized what the problem was, and it was really obnoxious because it was for a really simple effect, and I have no idea how they could mess this up, but they did. But yeah, that got under my nerves. This one effect I spent way too long on because of this stupid bug that it just wouldn't like go behind. I wanted to have a lot of text come out from the screen towards the camera, and this was the only way I could really do it outside of, I don't know, downloading Blender or something, which I kind of didn't have the time to do. As I mentioned, this was the last thing I had to make in the video, and like my deadline was March 12th, and I was working on this like the day before. Alright, so here's what I did. Before it just straight up disappeared and didn't work, there were 3 frames that reached the edge of the screen. I might have had to have zoomed it in a bit first to do that, but with that, I looped those 3 frames and it kinda looks right. It's technically not right, but it's close enough and not really noticeable in the end. So I'm glad that I got the effect that I wanted. It took way too long to get to it though. Also, when the R text comes out and you hear the R in the background, all the alligators' mouths open up. So that was the thing that I did, and don't know if you noticed those. I found it cool. So right here I have the screen freak out and a bunch of colors show up and this crazy bloom effect. Actually, I was sort of thinking of giving this entire scene this sort of dream glow effect, but I eventually opted out of it because I thought like it didn't match the rest of it. This was one of the very few bits that I used Sony Vegas for as opposed to Flash for, was both the glow effect and the 3D text. And without the glow effect, this kind of looks like garbage. And after the glow effect, I got what I wanted out of it. Like I wanted it to distort in sync with the song's distortions right before the crazy final chorus. But here's the problem, right? It gets nuts. Like, that is definitely too much for a seizure-prone person. This is what pushed me over the edge and said, okay, I definitely have to give this video a seizure warning. With it, however, I did create a compromise. I said, okay, I got to make a seizure warning, but I want it to feel like the rest of the video too. So what I did is I took part of the song, I reversed it, and I added an echo effect and made it a bit quiet, and I play that during the seizure warning. And I think it flows with the rest of it pretty well. The actual song starts with the white square bit, with the that bit. But yeah, so I wanted it to feel like the rest of the video, and yeah, I think it kind of does. I should bring this up. I got comments saying, "Lol, you made the seizure warning flash colors. That's super counterintuitive." All right. Here's my defense. First of all, it technically fades between the colors instead of flashing between them, which is slightly different to how it looks in the rest of the video. But more importantly, I'm not a seizure-prone person myself, but I'm 99% sure, make that 90% sure that as long as it's really small on the screen, it's fine. And this is really thin text. Like, even if it's full screen, that's not going to cause anyone problems. Like, such as, for example, one big thing that I very much recall being a big seizure problem was that one episode of Pokemon where the entire screen flashes frame by frame between red and blue, the entire screen, and that set off like an entire country. The most of Japan got seizures from that or whatever, and that caused that episode to like never get aired again or whatever. Like, when I hear seizure problems happening, it's because the entire screen is flashing frame by frame, like opposite colors. This is cycling between hues, and it's very tiny on the screen. And I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that's fine. The flashing seizure warning is in preparation for the crazy ass, flashing lights before the final chorus, which I do actually think, yes, is pretty bad and might set off a seizure person, which I would very much not like to do. Oh my god, we're finally on the final chorus, guys. So as the final culmination of everything getting more and more nuts throughout the song, the final chorus, I wanted to just be a mess. I just wanted to a huge it's like you watch the first chorus and you watch the final chorus and you're like, am I watching the same video? And yet I wanted it to be the exact same things going on. I do not know what to get you for your birthday. That text is showing up with the same font, with the same flashing colors across the screen, but now there's a lot of other things also going on. You got this cool 3D, the text, just hallway effect, kind of like 2001 kind of does a similar thing at the end of that movie. I haven't seen that in a long time, but I'm pretty sure it does a similar thing. And with every text change, there's a font change, and also the text itself changes between saying different things. The first one that shows up just says Alligators and Pretzel Makers. Or I'm sorry, Alligators Pretzel Makers without the and. The next one shows up, the lyrics from the first verse. The next shows the lyrics from the second verse. The next just says I do not know what to get you for your birthday over and over again. Actually, I think it's I do not know what to get for your birthday. I do not know. I do not know what to get, just like the chorus. So that's the chorus. The next one says Alligators and Pretzel Mixers again. Also, the freak out text is behind every single one of these, and they shift between a bunch of different fonts, and also wingdings, which finally we're getting back to. The next one has wingdings. It's actually not just the text by itself. It's actually like 2 layers of it. Like, this is got kind of like a drop shadow effect, but like to the side, but not really, based on how I actually did the effects like in Flash program. Anyway, so you're probably wondering what the wingdings says. I left it so that people could figure out for themselves, because I'm like, haha. They'll find out what the wingding says, and then they'll be like, oh, that's what the wingding says. But nobody ended up doing that. I'll just say what it is. The wingdings for this scene in particular, the chorus to the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny, which is the most famous Neil Cicierega song, a Lemon Demon song. Well, I mean, I think Wow Wow is like a song that's gotten pretty popular recently for meme potential. Like it's a silver kind of thing. But the Ultimate Showdown is like classic internet. This is like when you hear like classic internet like trends or memes. Like this was like way up there back in like 2008, 2009. No, actually it's 2007. The song came out in 2007. No, wait. It might have been 2006. No. Maybe it was 2005. You know what? I'm stupid. I think it might have been 2005, and the album came out with this song in 2006. Yes. Or I could be wrong. The point is that this is very early internet. The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny is just like a big crossover between a bunch of different characters like fighting each other, and it's a good song. You should go look it up. That's all the different types of texts in the background. The next few are just like the same ones from before again and again. You'll notice I don't have the text glitching at all anymore. Because I wanted this bit to stay consistent, because it's like kind of order in the chaos. Like I wanted it to feel crazy, but I didn't want it to be overwhelming. I still wanted it to be like a fun watch, and the build-up was more important being crazy than the actual no, that's not true at all. The crazy bit, I wanted to feel crazy, and I added a lot of things to it, but like the glitchy text, like that just wouldn't have fit with the fact that the crazy like background 3D text, that would either have to glitch with it, or I'd have to have the text, the rainbow text glitch independently of that, and it would just look wrong. Also, because of the cutout thing that I mentioned earlier, where none of this is actually the text. The rainbow text is not actually rainbow, it's actually a cutout of what's behind it. That's still happening in this scene, and the way I got everything to look like it was behind that is because the rainbow text cutout is a mask for everything else, and like I basically cheated. In hindsight, it was really kind of a bad idea to do that, but I started with it, and I kept it going because like, well, I mean, I can't change it now. Finally, we hit the birthday text, where the birthday cake is entirely unaffected by this whole thing. It has not been moving at all, except for the couple of times it did. But the idea is that like during this chaos nonsense, it's still the anchor that it was. Like it's not changing color. It's still sitting there. It's still chill. The text in the background this time is a mix of all the ones before it. And you'll notice if you have a good eye that the text for verse 2 has a bit of red text in it. And if you look at it, that says, "This is where the fun begins," which I put emphasis on before, and I put emphasis on here again because it's just, I wanted it to like be poignant. And also, this is sort of where the fun begins, actually, like in the music video itself, where everything's going nuts. This is where the fun begins. I mean, kind of. Yeah, I just wanted it sort of like all come together like this. Oh boy, we got a couple of things to talk about. First, the I do not know. The first one for the final chorus is the woobly text with the rainbow bits. This was a thing that I'd visualized a long time ago as well. I wanted it to look exactly like this. And I'm very glad it looks as good as it does, because I was worried that like what I was visualizing wasn't actually going to play out too well. I like to bring up that this took way too long to make. So what I do to get this to look the way it does is I have a picture of the text and I have it and I have that inside a symbol, which is essentially just like a flash object thing, and you can nest them and have one inside another inside another. And what I did is I have the symbol of the text, and inside that, or not inside that, that will be inside a symbol that gets it to move up and down steadily, just the text by itself. And then that's inside one that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's got 15 different layers, one for each column of light, and also every frame, the text that goes up and down changes color. And then in the one above that, in the symbol above that, it's like you got the 15 layers and it's playing this animation at different frames, and then I mask it so that only each column shows up during these different frames, and then I do the exact same thing for the do and the not afterwards. And yeah, I also the I, because it's a vertical letter, the only way I could get the same effect is by shifting it heavily, skewing it horizontally so much that it doesn't even look like an I anymore. In hindsight, what I could have done is just made it go woobly horizontally instead of vertically. Yeah, I could have done that. Yeah, too late. If I had done that though, then it would have been inconsistent with the rest of it, which does go vertically. Well, you got a bunch of text on the top and bottom that's like just going past. This was another thing which I'm like, oh man, somebody's gonna decode that and it'll be cool, but nobody did. So I'll tell you what that is too. In the Lemon Demon song "New Way Out" by Lemon Demon, I just said that. There's a brief interlude in between like choruses and verses where Neil just sort of like speaks a like storybook bit, which makes no sense, but maybe it's from something. Maybe I should have looked that up. It says, and lo and behold, the very next morning they climbed out of bed and gazed out upon the something like that, whatever. Anyway, so that text is that spiel, except I compressed the letters so that, and like reversed and flipped it, so that it's like really difficult to like read. But if you do unflip it and you reread it knowing what it says, you're like, oh yeah, it does say that. I mean, it's pretty obvious once you realize what it says. Yeah, but nobody decoded that. Next, let's skip over to the next I Do Not Know, which has Neil stutter through it. Because like at this point in the song, the I Do Not Know is said differently for these couple, just to go with the rest of the song. Actually, an interesting factoid. When I was making this video, I was talking with other people who'd listened to the song before, and one of them said, wow, you're making this like really look like nuts, but when I listen to the song, it's just a calm song. It's just calm. And that's an interesting thing, I think. Different people get different things out of the song. When I hear the song, I hear something that starts off calm, but gets completely nuts by the end. But then this person said that they heard the song as it was just only calm. And that's fair enough. It is mostly a calm song. And if you don't focus on it, then yeah, you probably don't hear what I hear, but yeah. That's what I hear. I hear the song getting steadily more nuts as you listen to it. Right, but yeah, so the idea is, yeah, so the I Do Not Know goes different, and this one it stutters, and I made it so that the text like shows up when he's stuttering them out. I actually made it look I made it look prettier than it sounded. Like when he says it, he says I do no. But he doesn't really say it like, he doesn't, all, the I and the do is stuttered, but the not is not. But I made it, like, when animating it, I made like a ton of N's and a ton of O's show up, just because I wanted it to feel like it was blurted out in the same vein as the I's and the do's. And then the no. The no is normal. The no can be, it's fine, the no being normal. And then the next I do not know, as in the I do not know what to get you for your birthday, I have show up during the regular I do not know. I think that was just cool, having both of them happen at the same time. Oh god, blink and you miss it. So right here during the what, where the text like freaks out like that, you got a line of wingdings above it. Guess what it is? It's more text for somebody to decode that nobody decoded. The dealio with this one is that I have each line of text change between frames, and the only way you can read all of it is if you go frame by frame, unlike every other bit of text where you can pause whenever. The very first frame is there's something making noise. The second frame is some terrible kaleidoskull. That's not a typo, that's what it says. Third one is that ever so gently destroys the minds of those who believe it, and though I can't quite perceive it, I can tell it's there by the way it's not quite there. Those are lyrics from Something Glowing by Lemon Demon, which is a song that I've professed to being my favorite Lemon Demon song, and I've listened to like all of them several times. I love this song. For reasons that are difficult to explain and also not relevant to this video. Maybe I'll talk about it some other time. And then the final couple of things to talk about is the very last, or the second to last birthday has the birthday cake having the rainbow bits coming out of it. That's because there was no special I do not know like there was for the past couple. One of them had the wooblies and the other one had the stutters. This one doesn't have anything, so I had to add something special to make this one special, and I added the birthday cake, which still doesn't move, but it has like after images coming out of it too now. And the after images sort of like move with the rest of the text too, so it almost looks like it's neon catting through space and time or something. I think that's pretty cool. And then the final couple of bits, the final I do not know what to get you for your birthday has like some special bits, like the what has the text in the top and bottom. The I has the other I's from before in the corners. The U has the I do not know just like spammed across the screen. I think this is a really cool effect because each no moves the same way, each not moves the same way, but each I do not know moves differently. So therefore, it's like it synced between words, but it's not synced between different words. Yeah. And then the very final bit, where the birthday text like shrinks into the background, and because the 3D text is like synced with it, it like moves with it. It kind of looks like you know that effect where if you start if you have a camera and you have a focal point and you're looking at it, it's like if you if you start off zoomed, like really zoomed in but far away, and then you move to zoomed out but really close, but the focal point like doesn't move, then it does this really cool like 3D effect field of view thing. It's a neat thing. That's kind of the effect I get with it's not the exact same thing, but that's the effect I get with this. I wanted it to be like one final nuts thing happening, and then everything goes gray, and to coincide with the rest of the video, like it starts off really calm and then it gets really nuts, and then this very final bit is the most calm of it all, where it's just like everything is turned off and we're just back to chill normal. The first screen you get is the I do not know with the birthday and the cake in the middle and everything, and they're just chilling, just like it did in the very first chorus and the such. And the text coming on screen with how, I mean, this is exactly how it showed up in the rest of the video, where the text comes up when it's spoken. But here, it's like, there's like no order to it. It's just sort of coming out without like a predefined like beat. Yeah, when I said I did everything based on a computer, obviously this is all like done by hand, because when it was made, it was done by hand. So it was like completely out of sync. But that's fine, it didn't take that long. But yeah, so I do not know what to get you for your birthday is spoken twice. In the first one, you just got the text showing up alongside everything else, and the birthday cake still showing up, and it's still chilling. They're still bobbing up and down with the guitar strums. And then the second one is just like, because there's no more room on screen, it's just going over all the text now, and that's just like how it feels, just like everything's kind of a mess. But that's okay. It's okay to be a mess sometimes. The very last birthday you see, you can barely read because there's just so much going on. But there's that stupid cake just chilling. It's still the anchor. It was there at the very start. It was there during the mess, and here it is at the very, very end. And it's the only thing that still has color. It's the anchor. It's the anchor to everything else. This stupid cake. The final thing to address with this video is how it ends. I mean, I did just talk about how it ends. Obviously, I talked about the gray text bit, but no, I'm talking about how the video physically ends. I wanted it to be jarring. Just like everything else, this might be a subjective me thing, but when I listen to the song, it doesn't end when the last guitar strum ends, it ends a little bit after that. If you listen to the actual song, oh, I probably should have mentioned this, the actual song, you can only listen to officially from Neil 2 ways. Way number 1 is by purchasing a physical Dinosaurchestra disc, which is currently discontinued, because this is a bonus track to the Dinosaurchestra album. And although Neil sells Dinosaurchestra nowadays, he does not include the bonus tracks with it for some reason, because a lot of them are really good. This is one of them. And likewise, the only other way you can officially get this song is by downloading it off Neil's Patreon discography, which is essentially like a big list of all the songs he'd ever made between the very start and it's not current day. It's like 2015, I think. All those songs, and I'd personally say you should go for it because there's a lot of really good songs, and I think he's like as much of an internet icon as he is. I still think he does not get anywhere near the attention he deserves, which is part of the reason I want to make so many music videos of his stuff. Where was I? That's right, I was talking about the end of the song. So if you listen to the actual sound file, there's a tiny bit at the end of the song that, like, kind of like a brushing aside, like maybe he's putting the guitar away or something. I omitted that. I said that this is sort of like a subjective me thing, but when I hear the song, I'm used to hearing the short guitar brushing aside bit before the MP3 ends. However, I cut that out of the music video, and I have the video end before that brushing would even happen. So likewise, when I watch this video, I picture it ending far more abruptly than it would to somebody who'd only ever heard of the song through the video, which means that technically it doesn't mean too much for anybody who didn't listen to the song the same way I did, and evidently not many people did. In fact, the only other upload of this song on YouTube right now is like by some guy, and last I checked, he only had like 200-ish views on the video. So yeah, this is a very unheard of song, which is a shame because I really like it and it really resonates with me, and that's why I made the music video in the first place, so that people could see it. Yeah, and right. Finally getting onto the... No, I did kind of describe the end of the video, the idea that like it's abrupt. It feels abrupt. It might not be abrupt. It might not be abrupt to most people, but it feels abrupt to me, and I want that to be jarring. The one final knock in the head the video gives you, it's just like, whoa, I just watched a video. That's the feeling I wanted people to get out of this. I wanted people to watch the video and go like, whoa. Basically. Alright, so that was a mess, and way longer than I was expecting. I was expecting like 20 minutes at most. I am at almost 2 hours recording this. It's obviously going to be cut down, but yeah, well, an hour and 50 minutes. The point is that I've been here, and I'm glad you spent the time listening to me talk about my birthday animated music video. And shout outs to Neil Cicerega. It is a weird surname. For making really good music, and like not enough people listen to his stuff, and I really like his stuff. And if he was listening to this, which I know he's not, I want to make more music videos, and I hope that if I do, I hope that you watch them and you enjoy them. But I know he's not. I know he's not listening to this. There's no way he would put 2 hours out of his way to listen to a guy make a video about a song that he made a decade ago. Anyway, Thank you for listening to this mess. I think I'd like to make more animation analysis videos. This is like an idea that I sort of had, because there was a lot of things that got into this video that I've just sort of kept to myself that I hadn't told people about, and now like I'm thinking, well, I mean, people would be more interested in the video if they heard about these things, so here I am talking about them. I'm thinking doing the same things for other videos I've made, maybe a lot of my older videos as well. Okay, cool, thank you, bye.